Okay, what's up, guys? I am super excited for this one. This is one of my favorites. Am I allowed to have favorite students? You are. Every instructor has favorite students. Jen is one of my favorite students. Jen is also an instructor here. She leads our women's Gracie Jiu-Jitsu self-defense program. And, you know, Jen at this point is also one of my very good friends. I never really had a big sister. Jen's like kind of like my older sister that I can...
Other students.
Hold on. These guys creeping us out over here. We have to interview them next, like EMTs.
The
They
whole
would be a good one. But anyway, yeah, Jen's very close friend of mine, great student, instructor. But it wasn't always like that. When you first came, you were very apprehensive about. You did jump right in, but you were a little apprehensive. Tell us about your kind of first experience.
You're right, I was very apprehensive. I wanted to do self-defense. I didn't know where to go, and I didn't realize I was surrounded by people that knew jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. So, the Legault family, they're
Chris
actually,
Legault.
They are the ones that actually introduced me, and they were telling me about it, and they were so excited about it. And, you know, Chris was like, why don't you come in and just watch a class? And I did. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit nervous when I first started because there weren't a lot of females, mm-hmm. right? And I watched the class, I talked to you, watching the instruction, everyone was so professional, the place was clean, and I took the step, you know, and I was nervous. I was absolutely nervous. I was shaking, actually. I was so nervous.
Yeah.
And I found that when I went, all of the guys were such gentlemen, and it was almost like I was the sister of all of these guys, right? Mm-hmm. And it just kind of kept me coming, and the more that I came, the less nervous that I was, and I realized I was okay and I was in a safe spot. But then at the same time, I'm getting like this awesome workout, and I'm learning these techniques that are doable and can be applied in a real way, and I just fell in love with it, mm-hmm. to be honest with you. So yeah, I mean, it took some time for me, but once I was in it, I drank the water, and I was hooked. I was really hooked.
And I think you're like a lot of women.
Yeah.
And now the culture here is so much different. I just pulled Jen off the mat. She has like 20 women in her class. And, you know, what we've kind of done is we've listened to Jen, and we've listened to the other women, and we've kind of made the program to where it's very female friendly. You know, the place is very clean. We have a female instructor, is very knowledgeable. And I like what you said, like the moves are doable. So I think that women have this misconception that they could never beat a man, ever. You know what I mean? Too big, too strong. They've seen other martial arts, maybe their kids are doing it. The idea of knocking someone out that's 200 pounds is, I mean, first off, it is ridiculous because it's going to be hard to do. But maybe talk about how you feel it's helped you understand self-defense and martial arts better as a female.
Yeah, well, I feel like, you know, first of all, the whole concept is not, and I tell this to my students, my job is not to turn you into like Ronda Rousey, right? Mm-hmm. And my job is not to turn you into some like ninja, right? Yeah. Like that's not the point. My job is to make sure you get home. My job is that in the event that something happens, you are able to defend yourself. But even before that, so much of it is setting boundaries, right? And when you're able to set boundaries, you're able to speak differently. You're able to make it very clear, and sometimes you have people that don't mean well, and sometimes you have people that are perfectly fine. Sometimes you're in an environment where you may not have to do this, like, you know, in other martial arts it's very strike heavy or striking heavy. You don't necessarily need to do that. So many assaults happen with somebody that you know, or it's at a party, or it's at a family function, right? And so you're able to establish boundaries and do some techniques that are subtle, if you will, but still very effective. And the whole concept of jiu-jitsu, of course, is built for the smaller person. So I am a smaller female compared to some of these guys, and with leverage and everything else, right? The techniques that you know, you're able to set yourself up in a much more positive situation.
Now, I know this is something that I've heard from my female friends that are like, they want to try it, but they're very uncomfortable on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
not just women, but men too, but specifically women. I feel like the idea of having someone on top of you on the ground is makes them uneasy.
You know, I don't know if you know this, but one of my first classes where I was pinned to the ground, I started crying. I was like not bawling, but I got teary-eyed because I was a little bit nervous. And you got your next class starting.
Steven will start them. I know Steven. We're good.
He steps up. And I've got Naki out there too.
Yeah, we're good.
Starting. But you're right. It is really intimidating when you're pinned to the ground and very humbling. A lot of times I tell the ladies that come into my class, I will meet you where you are, right? And you can always move forward. The techniques teach you how to get up off of the ground, right? And they teach you how to survive from the ground, from your back, right?
But I'll just use pepper spray so I don't end up there, or a taser.
Okay, so if you are lucky enough that they don't knock it out of your hand, then what are you gonna do? Or if you don't have perfect aim, or
anything, the wind, a lot of anything.
There's so many variables. Or the other one that I hear a lot of times is, well, my boyfriend is going to protect me, or my husband, or whatever. Well, not unless your boyfriend or husband or partner is with you 24/7. And even then, if they're not training, doesn't mean that they know what to do either, unfortunately.
Right.
So I feel like it is every person's right to learn how to protect themselves. I'm a mom. I have 2 teenage daughters.
Okay.
It is my God-given right, I'm sure you've heard that quote before, for me to protect myself and my daughters.
Absolutely.
For them to
Self-defense is not a privilege. Self-defense is a right.
Absolutely. So,
but I don't have time to do it, Jen. I'm a mom, or I'm a dad. I have 2 kids. I have a stressful career. I mean, you're a single mom.
Yeah.
You can't make time. I don't have time.
Yeah.
I just don't have time.
You hear that a lot, right? I mean, we really, really do hear that a lot. You make time for the things that are really important for you, and if at the end of the day you want to think of excuses, think of excuses. That everyone can think of an excuse.
Well, we say this a lot. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's okay.
But we say this a lot, is that if something is really important to you, okay, if it's really, really important to you, you'll find a way. If it's not that important to you, then you will make an excuse.
Absolutely.
I can't think of anything more important, especially now with holidays coming up. You're going out shopping, you're gonna be by yourself, parking in the parking garage. Human trafficking, guys, the lid is blown off on this. It's a problem. Internet, stalkers, teaching our daughters to set boundaries, like you said, and stand up for themselves. And like you said, the word, being able to set the boundary, it's just words if there's no substance behind it.
Correct.
I believe the reason why we're able to help women, and you're able to help women, is because the words are backed up by something physical. It's not just a shallow threat.
Yeah.
And then that perception is different from the potential attacker.
Yeah, one of my students is now in college, but she started when she was in high school. Cheyenne.
Oh,
and
I love that kid. She's great.
Yeah,
Her and her father are great students.
Yeah, she started very. She's very meek, and she's very shy. She carries herself differently, and she can take care of herself. And that's one of the things I do like about our classes is that.
And she wasn't comfortable.
Oh yeah, she was uncomfortable. There's a lot of women that are uncomfortable, and it sounds cheesy, but one of the things that it's often said is. Feel comfortable, get used to, what is it?
Be comfortable feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah. And that is part of it. It is a little bit uncomfortable to have somebody that you don't know that's over top of you or pinning you down. But a couple things happen. You start to get used to it, right? You start to learn how to get out of that situation. You start to make friendships here. There's a lot of things that go into it.
And for me, I'm very big on the student-teacher relationship must be built upon trust. I have to trust Jen that if she has me in a fully locked rear naked choke and I tap out, that she's gonna let go of me. She has to trust me that, especially, I know you train a lot of women that are survivors of trauma, they're in the healing process. Sometimes we have to establish a trust with them where it's like, okay, I'm a little bit too uncomfortable with this right now. Fine, let's do something else.
Yep.
And I've even had female students that are like, I am so uncomfortable on the ground, like I just won't do it. I'm like, fine. Then let's start with some stand-up self-defense, some basic wrist grab escapes, some basic ideas of how to stop someone from picking you up off the ground, getting yourself off the wall, getting away from someone, grabbing your ponytail, holding your neck. Let's start with that. Let's get comfortable with that, and then we'll add on. And Jen is so good at this, guys. That's why, listen, I'm so picky about who I let teach here because, my own kids train. I have some of my best friends training. And, part of the reason we opened the school is to have community impact. So you guys should really come take one of Jen's classes.
Yeah,
she's here in Columbia.
On I almost forgot what nights I teach. On Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
Yes. Yep. And very women-friendly classes, and the co-ed classes too. But like Jen is such a good example of someone who had every excuse not to come in. Apprehension. You know, we can always use the excuse of, well, you know, money, time. But again, like if it's, you made it a priority, and, you know, it's impressive to see where you become, where you've arrived, I should say.
Yeah.
What else, Jen? What do you say to someone out there right now? There's going to be a woman watching this, probably hundreds. What do you say to these women that they're on the fence, they're thinking about it, they maybe those excuses are lingering in their head?
Yeah.
What should they do to pull the trigger? What would you tell them to make them pull the trigger?
For lack of saying anything else, just try it. Come out and try a class for free. Come out and just try it. I guarantee you're going to love it, because one of my worst nightmares as an instructor is I never want anyone to ever be in a situation and go through something that I've had to go through personally before jiu-jitsu, or ever be in a situation where they feel helpless. I don't want anyone to feel that. So why not train yourself? Why not try something new? Why not push past that fear? And for some of you, kind of get yourself back. Some of you, if you're like me, you're a mom, and a lot of your in and outs go to your family, and that is beautiful. And I had someone a long time ago tell me, well, you're not a martyr, right? You're allowed to have time for yourself, and you are. And I feel like when you allow, especially as a mom, when you allow yourself to have time, you're a better mom, you're a better partner, you're a better human, you're a better friend, daughter, so on and so forth, because you are allowed to have time for you. And what better way to learn how to protect yourself, to learn how to be more assertive, to just be a better person, get a good workout, be around an amazing academy and an amazing group of people, and just have awesome instructors. You know, it's very much a lifestyle. So if you are nervous, reach out to me, reach out to Mike. We can talk one-on-one. I can do a private lesson with you. There's a lot of different ways, different things that we can do to get people in. But I'm not gonna lie, you might be nervous. I was nervous. I was absolutely nervous. Men are nervous. Everybody is nervous when you're trying something new.
Sometimes the men are even more nervous. You can tell by, they won't admit it.
Yeah.
That's the thing I do appreciate about instructing women for the most part, is that no dude will ever admit that he can't fight, like ever.
Yeah.
Never. I've never heard a guy be like, no, I'm weak, dude. I can't
Yeah.
fight. Like I would get my ass kicked. Women come from a place of humility, and you know, to me, it's a little bit crazy because some of our best students are female.
They're technical.
And you know, we're trying to break barriers with this. That, you know, martial arts is only for the guys. Only guys need to know how to protect themselves. Statistically, that's like kind of a little bit true. But again, like, I'm real big on this. Like with holiday season coming up, just look at the stuff you're seeing in the internet.
Yeah.
You never think it will happen to you until it's too late. And I'm not telling you that to make you scared.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that so that you take some action so that you don't have to be scared. If that makes sense.
And I'd love to live in a society where
that'd be great if we could get rid of all the bad guys and everyone act like a perfect gentleman and gentlewoman and never try to shoot or stab or do anything like that.
Excuse me.
We never try to do anything bad to each other.
Yeah.
Then people would just do martial arts just for fun, which is great. But you know,
And
our
it can be
purpose.
fun. Yeah.
I do it for fun now, 100%. Go ahead, Rob. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
I do it 100% for fun now because I'm sure that I can defend myself. It's just about sharpening the sword every day, staying sharp. I know that if I can do well against all these people out here, then the average person is going to be in rough shape. And again, guys, it's a real martial art. If Jen got attacked right now by a bigger, stronger dude who's untrained, listen, like she said before, could she choke him out and beat him and win the fight? Probably. Could she do enough to get away and just escape and survive? Definitely. Definitely. Like there's not a doubt in my mind. That's the difference between our philosophy and maybe other martial art. She doesn't need to kill me. She doesn't need to break my arm and choke me unconscious like Ronda Rousey, like a UFC fight. She just needs to have some basics, burn enough time to attract enough attention to just get away.
So if there's somebody that is important in your life, have them come in. If you have teenage daughters, especially if they're in high school, I have now about 4 high schoolers or teenage girls in my class. It is
such a clutch
important.
age.
Yeah. You're starting to approach the time where these young ladies are spending more time with the opposite sex, maybe showing a little bit more independence, going to the mall. There are a lot as they grow, they're exposed to a lot more opportunities, right? And again, like Mike said, we don't want to scare anybody, but the reality is that there are a lot of angry, broken people out there, and all we want is to prepare them and you as adults to be able to protect yourself if you need that. So yeah.
Awesome. This went a little bit longer than I wanted. Oh, never mind. Perfect timing.
Good.
We could sit here and talk all day. We'll make another one of these at some other point.
Yeah.
Jen, you rock.
Thank you.
Good job. And
By
come
the way,
take our class.
February, I'm thinking about doing a women's seminar, so I'll keep you guys posted.
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
Bye.
Thank you, Jen.